I started to promote event in Vietnam because I did that before when I was in Australia. I was studying there, and I got really heavily into UK sounds, drum and bass. So when I came back here in 2007, there wasn't a lot of this kind of music. So going out wasn't as fun. So I tried to do some drum and bass night, and that's how it started. I've been doing it for 7 years now. Generally, people that are trying to promote underground music are expats or Vietnamese that's been living overseas for a while. They come back and they're trying to change the scene here.
I have a hobby. I've developed a hobby almost 1 year ago to organize, host underground electronic dance music events. I was really, after 3 years or 2 years living here, missing this music. And I thought, why not introduce it to, the people who are living here, the Vietnamese mainly, and see if we can build a scene. It doesn't have to be a big scene, but I want to share this with other people.
I'm from Scotland, but I'm working in Hanoi, working for CAMA, which is the Club for the Appreciation of Music and Arts. CAMA's role has really always been to please itself, because CAMA is essentially a group of friends who have lived here for a long time and enjoy live music. And it's something that's missing from Hanoi. The Vietnamese music scene tends to be very polarized. You're in one camp or you're nowhere. So rock music is a big thing. So if you're into rock, and by that I mean a kind of metal style of rock, influenced by the likes of Aerosmith and Metallica, then there will be many bands who you will enjoy seeing in Hanoi. Independent music, apart from that, there's not much at all. Another part of the polarization is to experimental music. A lot of people who are professional musicians, trained musicians, studied at the Hanoi Conservatory of Music, a lot of them who are open-minded musically go into experimental music. The reasons for that are quite hard to explain probably, and I'm not sure I would know exactly why this happens. But it's certainly interesting that that's a style of music that has become quite common here, actually.
Generally, the experimental scene is not that big. For noise and experimental, there's probably just a handful of people that does it.
We have small community in Vietnam, like just 4 or 5 people who compose electronics music.
If you think about the experimental movement in any country, it's never going to be big because it's a niche thing. So it's pretty amazing that the experimental groups have got themselves on the map.
I think the kids really want to get to know some new stuff, but the only thing is they don't know where or how to find it. But now it's easy to find on the internet, but to hear it live at clubs, it's still kind of hard for them to find where the spot is.
There are a couple of venues who have live music, but they don't really go out of their way to invite international artists to come here. They might just by circumstance get one, perhaps someone who happens to be traveling through the city and wants to do a show, but they don't actively seek international artists to invite them here to perform.
Most of them, of the owners, they want to play safe, so you either have to play cover bands, so more crowd will get into it, or smaller players will be interested to do other stuff. But yeah, it's mainly because it's a business point of view.
But there are some kind of DJ musicians who are into DJing as an art or club music as an art. For example, DJ Slolo, Bush Lum. And there's another guy called Slim V. It's dance music, but perhaps as an example of how not quite developed this is as an art form is when Slim V, who I absolutely respect by the way, I think he's very good, when he will do a show to a Vietnamese audience, he'll be doing live beats or DJing or something like this, and he'll have a live musician with him, like a violinist or a flutist or something to play with him, which sounds pretty cool. But halfway they'll have these absolutely outrageous electronic beats, just wah, 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 and then it'll cut out and the violinist will start playing, the theme from Titanic or something. So there is a scene of DJs, okay, there is like a club music scene as well, that this is absolutely true, but I think it speaks volumes that some of the highest paid DJs are women with large breasts and their cleavage on display. Yeah. There is one particularly famous DJ called DJ Tit.
Another factor is in the culture. A lot of Vietnamese kids here has to go home before 12 because they still live with their parents. A city with vibrant music scene usually have a party scene that go on until late at night and where people just rock out. And here, when the venue closed too early, when the party just started and suddenly has to close. So that's why the music scene developed a little bit slower as well.
Vietnam has a 12 o'clock curfew. Everything in Vietnam must close at 12 o'clock. Of course, if you go to Ho Chi Minh City, you'll find that they do not care about this law whatsoever, and you can stay drinking and listening to music on the street all night. In Hanoi, they enforce it more strictly, but it's still flexible. In Vietnamese, they say that everything's cao su, which means like rubber, like basically it's all the laws of chewing gum. For example, across the road from us is a karaoke bar, which stays open all night and receives deliveries of prostitutes all night. But they pull down the shutter and their bikes are off the street. And so the police drive past, and of course they know it's open because they've been paid already, but they don't do anything about it.
So how would the state influence the Vietnamese people? They want to keep the youth to be respectful. They don't want the youth to be a different type of youth, where to be aggressive, to be influenced by the music. So they do have to check the lyrics, make sure that it's not anything against anything bad, anything negative.
If you want to do a live gig at a big festival, usually the authority will ask for a translation of lyrics. So say if you invite a big band over, the legal thing to do is submit all their lyrics translated to the authority, and then they'll get approval so the band can perform.
So yes, that's another reason why many Vietnamese do cover bands, do cover music.
A lot of songs that are edgy with a political message usually would never see the day of light to be released. Comparing to the 70s, where the scenes are more free, pretty much all the band can say whatever they want. It's the 70s in the South with more GI-based culture, so it's more free, it's more, I don't want to say it, but it's the communist versus democracy, I guess. So certainly the government has a lot of saying, and they can decide who getting released or not.
Electronic music, it's just like abstract paintings. How do you see? I think the authorizers, they don't really spend much attention about abstract things, because if they don't understand, of course, people don't understand.
Ces 5, 6, 7, 8 personnes qui font de la musique dite expérimentale ici parlent tous anglais. Ils n'habitent pas dans un village et ils sont reliés quelque part à des pratiques culturelles en Occident. Certains y sont allés, même s'ils n'y sont pas allés, ils sont influencés par ces choses-là. Pourquoi ça leur parle, je ne sais pas, je trouve ça formidable, mais ça va exister un peu partout. Donc les gens qui font de la musique expérimentale ici, ils développent le petit réseau qu'ils peuvent, mais en termes de fric, s'il y a du fric à se faire, il vient forcément, et c'est pareil pour l'art contemporain, il vient forcément de l'Occident.
We creating network with the Foreigner Cultural Office, like l'Espace, Alliance Française, Goethe Institute, British Council. Then we collaborate to create some events, and we asking for the sponsor from them.
Quelle institution, quel étranger, quel sponsor, quel financeur va souhaiter les aider? Ils sont très demandeurs de ça, parce qu'il n'y a rien à attendre d'institutions culturelles dans une dictature communiste. Ils le savent. Donc ces gens n'ont pas seulement un rapport à avoir des pratiques musicales bizarres, mais ils ont aussi un rapport globalement plus critique vis-à-vis du gouvernement, etc. S'ils sont à même de connaître ce qui se passe en musique expérimentale à l'Occident, ils ont aussi la possibilité d'avoir des informations sur le reste du monde. Voilà, donc ça va de pair, c'est une ouverture sur le monde.